Levack and Goz Tech East Tuesday, which it's a little different of a Tech East Tuesday because Goz is playing hooky. So, if you're making up some reason why you can't be at Tech East today, it's all crap. But it's Goz. It's what we've come to expect from Goz. The crap that is Goz. So here we are. Here we are on a Tech East Tuesday. Neither of us at Tech East. But I will tell you that Tech East Fire and Water Restoration, your best way back to normal. Check us out online at tefirewater.com. And also a great place for construction as well. Big jobs, little jobs, whatever it is. Tech East Construction, Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. We got you covered. We got it. It's all over it. Go learn more at tefirewater.com.
It is a packed show, Levack. We went into this thinking like, okay, we're gonna have maybe some things. I texted you. I said, remember back in the day when it was just Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey straight up? That was it. That was the only trades that used to happen in the NFL.
I remember years of us doing the show on a day like today, going, when is something gonna happen? Like, can something happen? Anything?
We've got that. I would say this might be one of our most packed shows of all time. Maybe in the history of this format, but it's also a packed day for your connection that I know some people are looking forward to. It is National Arena League free agency has opened today. It is November 1st. There have been some teams, Levack, that have had social media posts about who they've signed. Other players announced their intentions. I guess I'm a little confused. Just for a refresher here quickly for people who might be seeing stuff. Some players announced where they were going before, how did that happen? Because I know it feels like the NBA a little bit. Where some guys announced before November 1st, if you can answer that.
Well, anybody who was on your roster last year was finished the season on your roster or has never. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Make it as easy as possible. You were able to sign anyone who was on your team or had no NAL contract. So, like if somebody played for a different league, if somebody's coming out of college, you could sign them before November 1st. If somebody finished the year on your roster, you could sign them before November 1st. Today is the day when it's anybody who's not signed is available. So like if you didn't lock up your best players, like I can actively speak about Albany Empire players again. I can actively speak about Columbus Lions players and Jacksonville Sharks and everything. There was a long time of doing this show where as soon as I was helping out and doing everything over in Columbus, I wasn't really in a position where I could talk that much about Darius Prince. Like I go, yeah, he's the MVP of the league, but I couldn't tell you how much I love the guy and how much I think he's a real leader and all other stuff, because technically that could be construed as tampering. So that's all gone now. Guys, you're going to see a lot of signings. I know historically speaking, Coach Manassa of the Albany Empire, he loves to make a big splash on a day like today. I know that head coach of the Lions, Chris McKinney, he's excited to just kind of get some of the guys there's been guys who have like tried to call McKinney and like go, hey, we played together at this place, or hey, we did this, or hey, and he's like, that's great. Hope all's well with you and the family. I will talk to you November 1st, but not a second sooner. And then he'll like let me know exactly who it was and when it happened. And but I'm not allowed to speak to you at this time. You know how the rules work. Boom. So now everybody can talk to everybody.
From the Albany Empire side, Brandon Cisse was one of the big announcements today. He is back with the Albany Empire. That's been posted. I'm glad you cleared that up, because that is very similar to the NFL too. For people who used to play Madden or still play Madden, there's that little window before you hit the next button where you get your first chance to talk to your players that were previously on your team and figure out where they go from there. I don't think this is bias from where I'm sitting here from Albany and Columbus. I'm waiting for that. You mentioned Coach McKinney, and that could be, I guess, the drama, the headline stealer, if you want, of the first Levack move, the stamp of something moving over. But it feels like that could be the rivalry. Like we've seen this happen before with players jumping from Carolina, Orlando, Jacksonville. We've seen a lot of different movement in the league. But that, I think, is one of the intriguing storylines of if we see somebody from Albany jump to Columbus, or vice versa, if somebody from Columbus jumps to Albany. I know that puts you in an awkward spot to talk about whether or not that would happen. I find that the most intriguing. Biased aside, I think that's interesting.
It is weird, but it is almost like arena football incest. You know what I mean? Because we're all still family. We all still work together in one way or another. So that's why, like, I have taken. I never did roster with the Albany Empire. Coach Manas, Coach Ware, they would build the roster. They knew what they wanted. A very rare occasion, what's your opinion on somebody, or hey, something bad happened. What do you want to do? So I'm like, that was never my purview there. As far as the Lions go, I've been very clear and empowered Coach McKinney, because as I said to him, and I will word it to you the exact way I worded it to Coach C-Mac. I said, Coach, make sure you're signing the players you like, because if this team sucks, you're an idiot and I'm a bigger asshole for hiring you. So yeah. If I would rather that happen based on players you wanted than someone telling you should sign someone, you grab them, they suck. You know what I mean? Like I would rather be called an idiot for a decision we made than an idiot because we didn't do what we wanted to do. So again, Coach McKinney is completely in control of this. Like he'll ask me, like, what do you think? I've told him, hey, if you could sign like 20 less people, that'd be great. He loves everybody. He's that kid in the store who just wants every toy on the shelf. And everybody loves him. Like every player goes, I want to play for you as soon as they meet him. So it's definitely been a thing. And I think the biggest issue that CMAC is going to have is paring it down to the 24-man roster, because I love you, buddy, but we're not bringing 50 people to camp. It's just not going to, that's just not going to be the case. We don't have that kind of money. And then, with Albany, I think, Albany speaks for itself. It's, 3 straight championships in years it's played, last 2 in the NAL. If you want a championship, you want to go to Albany. And, if you want to keep Albany from getting that championship, you want to go to Columbus. That's the way we feel. And look out for Carolina this year. Rumbling is Carolina did not take that loss lightly. And Carolina is going to be going after everyone. Like if you ever picked up a football, you might get a call from Coach Fuller and Rob Storm. It could happen.
The Cobras are super aggressive. The one part that it's not to diminish or take away from what free agency start is that we've learned, especially the NAL, and I think teams like the new teams like West Texas and Fayetteville and other teams, you can, as you said here, like you can have a huge roster. Camp still matters.
Yeah.
Like, you still got to go to camp. You still got to compete. You still got to find a roster spot. You still got to figure out who fits the offensive and defensive scheme. So as exciting as free agency is, some of the marquee names that you might have been following the NAL and indoor football overall might be swapping teams and uniforms. Camp will still matter when February and March rolls around in a huge way.
Well, and you got to think about it too. Like camp is basically 2 weeks before your first game. So you also don't want to go into that with a ton of openings in your roster. You want to have an idea of what your team's going to be. Like, maybe you got a couple QBs fighting it out. Like, again, this is Albany's my experience. Last year it was Mike Faithful and Sam Casanova fighting it out to see who's going to be the starting quarterback. Camp ends with, Coach Manas and Coach Ware saying Mike Faithful's the starting quarterback, but Sam Casanova is going to be in the games. Didn't happen in the first week, but then after that, Sam Casanova becomes your starting quarterback and leads you to a championship. So you want to go into your camp. I would think the sweet spot's 30 to 35 players at most, and having an idea of who's going to be around, and those other people that make it, you don't want to let everybody know they're any good, and just in case you end up needing to call them back. You can only carry 21 active on game day, so it's a dance. Everybody's got a different theory on how to do it. So we'll see how it goes. But again, today's the day that everybody's available. Everybody, if you didn't sign a new contract this year, you can be signed today.
The world is your oyster. Shout out to our guy Tom Gross, who said, "Welcome to NAL free agency period," and our guy Jeff, who said, "Hello, guys." So
hello, Jeff.
A lot of Empire fans are fired up. I thought we were going to sit on that a little longer, but the NFL had a little different idea today. Levack, a NFL trade deadline record. 10 deals have been made. But before we talk about the deals, let's talk about our friends over at Mohawk Honda. Selection is king. It's been king all 2022. Now you can get your new ride this November, this December. Start the holiday season the right way with a new vehicle, whether it's a 2022 or a 2023. Mohawk Honda wants to help you find your new ride. We got 2 more shows coming up in 2022 live for Mohawk Honda. For more information, check out GonzolaMedia.com, where you can find out when we're going to be broadcast live. Awesome stuff. I saw the pictures from Trunk or Treat from the Mohawk family. They did an awesome job with that. Shout out, so cool. Everybody in the QB having fun.
Did you see what they did at the Chevy store?
No.
With Andy Gelcher. So everybody at the Chevy store dressed like a character from Toy Story. Somebody yelled, "Andy's coming," and they all dropped to the floor like the toys. And then Andy Gelcher goes around the corner, and they're all like Mr. Potato Heads laying. It was pretty freaking great. Like, like you love your boss when you do that. Like that's when you know, like the Mohawk family is tight. Like when the entire place goes, "Hey, let's dress like Toy Story," and you're like, "Man, we got to do a theme." No, we're gonna do it because it's gonna be really cool for Andy Gelcher, and you're like, all right, fine. So like if there's ever a character like Jeff Harridan or whatever, or Greg Johnson or any Lindsey Harridan, I'm sure they'll do the same thing for them because it's a family top to bottom at the Mohawk Honda family and
Toy Story 5 is what they need now for those guys to have their own characters for them. One more shout out to Cam McKenna, by the way. I saw him posted on Instagram.
Screw him.
Taking care of my mother-in-law, got the new ride. Shout out to Cam.
Nope. Cam McKenna gets no love.
Why does he get no love?
Cam McKenna gets no love because Cam McKenna today was the 20th person to send me the gif of the Chiefs and the Chargers didn't play this week, and they both combined to score as many points as the Raiders. Oh, that's so out of the blue, I get that from Cam McKenna. So Cam McKenna, if you're a Raider hater, go to Cam McKenna at Mohawk Honda. But otherwise, he's like, it's all love. I go, I have as much love for you as the Raiders scored points on Sunday. So Cam McKenna him and his father, they're off my island.
Dead deal.
Done.
Dead. What do you make of the NFL trade deadline having 10 deals? I'm stunned. I cannot believe it's that many. Stunned.
Well, it's cool because you can see a lot of teams swinging for the fences trying to get things done. The moves that jumped out to me the most, I'll start with the one that I felt like maybe they were pulled into the bitter barn. Took a little stab at an opponent. The Bears going to get Chase Claypool. When Aaron Rodgers said on Pat McAfee's show, I think we might get Chase Claypool kind of thing. Like that's who I want. Like you Bears, you already shipped out your entire defense is in different color uniforms now, but you go get Chase Claypool. I felt like that was a bitter barn pickup. I felt like that was we are going to need a good wide receiver on the outside for Justin Fields. We could wait for the draft, or we could stick it to Rodgers. Who owns who now, bitch? Like that's what that felt like to me. So that was my first one. That really jumped out at me.
That formula, by the way, too, right? Year 3, Josh Allen gets Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. Year 3, Tua gets Tyreek Hill. Year 3, Justin Fields gets Chase Claypool, and also Trevor Lawrence sort of gets Calvin Ridley, even though he's got to sit out the rest of the season. So the commitment to these quarterbacks to go get them weapons is definitely the huge storyline of the deadline. The Broncos trading Bradley Chubb. Miami is going all in this season to make it happen.
And I love what they're doing. Bradley Chubb, he's going to be loving life as that pass rusher in Miami. The one there's one that made absolutely no sense to me. There's one that caught me so far off guard. Like I think it goes against every rule in the history of the NFL. When the Lions give up TJ Hawkinson and a couple fourth rounders for picks to Minnesota, you just made Minnesota so much better. Irv Smith is hurt. You just sent over a real weapon at tight end to a rival, to a division rival. And I can't recall seeing that to that level. You made Minnesota so much better today.
And why? Why, to bring an old Levack and Goz segment, why? It doesn't make any sense. If you're the Detroit Lions and you think the future is somewhere, I don't know where, maybe with St. Brown, somewhere, Aiden Hutchinson, you think you got some type of hope in that division. You would think TJ Hawkinson would be a part of that future. You mentioned it. In division. Look, the price they gave up for Hawkinson is a pretty big number. And maybe they just said, this is the deal you got to give us to get him. And they actually said yes, and they matched. You're like, oh, shit. They said yes to our deal. We thought that number was too high. Same way, credit to Miami, credit to Minnesota. Because Minnesota is looking at the NFC and saying, this is the best chance we got right now. Green Bay's down. The NFC South stinks. Because of potentially of how our seeding goes, we might get a really bad opponent in that opening round if we don't, maybe possibly, or vice versa. Hey, we're not going to get a bad opponent. We're either going to get the Giants, the Cowboys, or whoever finishes in second place in the NFC West, we're not getting knocked out as a division winner. We think we can win the division with this roster we've built right now. So, yeah, I mean, that offense all of a sudden, right, with Hawkinson and Cook. I know Thielen's banged up a little bit, but Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins is not doing statistically as well as some people thought. Me and you, well, maybe me.
He's still are. He is Kirk Cousins. You just assume that when you've got that many weapons, you're going to have big numbers. It's not necessarily the case with him because he's poop. But it's again, you got a year and a half left on the TJ Hawkinson deal, his rookie deal. He's supposed to make like $9 million next year. I'm trying to think, like, I just can't find a reason unless he like looked over everybody and went, "Hey, remember when Dan Campbell made fun of my shorts on Hard Knocks? Well, I want out of here." Like that's the only. And even then, I'm going to send you anywhere else. I'm going to send you anywhere. I'm not sending you to Minnesota. You can't.
Is he an actual Viking?
Right. Well, the hair is pretty close. It's a possibility, but you can't tell me that you want to face TJ Hawkinson for the next at least 2 years. Potentially more.
No, don't want any of that to happen. Absolutely not. For the New York side, we saw Kadarius Toney get dealt earlier, not today. The Bills have been active. They brought in a safety, Marlowe from the Falcons, Nyheim Hines. They bring in from the Colts. Zach Moss is off to Indy. The Jets and the Giants, we thought they might be active if they had to make a move. I wonder if they just looked around. They're like, we just can't match some of this stuff. Buffalo is as active as they could be, but I feel like the Jets and the Giants are just like, nothing makes sense for us right now. Usually we criticize them
for sending off a pass rusher.
Yeah.
But that was about it. Like, yeah, it's just again, what are you going to get? Like the reason the Calvin Ridley deal makes sense to me is like, okay, who's the wide receiver that you think is better than Calvin Ridley in this year's draft that you're going to be able to get for a fifth and a second? You know, like who's the guy that's better than that? But like as far as these guys go, like where they are, who's maybe stockpile picks in case you're trying to get a quarterback next year because you've won too many games. I don't know. I don't know what else you could do that makes sense. That doesn't completely look like you're waving the white flag. The Bradley Chubb deal, Chubb going to Miami, like I love that for Miami. Denver, you just won a hard fought game. It looks like maybe Russ is cooking a little bit, and you're going to get rid of one of the best pass rushers in the game. Like it was weird. Some of these guys look like they're waving white flags right now. And it just seems too early for it.
That Denver one, I wonder if it sounds weird. Do you blame Russell Wilson? Because his contract is so massive and Bradley Chubb is so good. You're not going to pay him what he's worth. And I think everybody knew he's not. But you get a first round pick back where it's like, okay, we know it's going to be a low first round pick, but we just need our salary cap is destroyed because of the Russell Wilson contract. We just got to get players out here to make some plays for us. That's what it kind of feels like a little bit too on that move. But Miami, super aggressive. Baltimore, also Roquan Smith. We talked about him on the last show. Roquan Smith, all of a sudden, from Bill Belichick's love, now a Baltimore Raven. Ray Lewis is too high of a comparison, but my God, with him on that defense, Baltimore needs something to go in their favor after beating my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is great for the league that finally it is an active. Finally, the 4-team divisions is what makes the NFL so great because everybody really feels like they're still in the mix. There are some bad teams and bad divisions and a bunch of teams going for a Super Bowl this season. It is so cool if you're an NFL fan to see these teams being active like this.
Hey, fantasy football guy, speaking of trade deadline. So I'm in this one league. Guy fires over a trade proposal, Mark Andrews for Alvin Kamara. I then say, no, thank you. I fire back Damian Pierce, the Texans running back, for Mark Andrews. He says no thank you, comes back looking for Travis Etienne Jr. for Mark Andrews. Like I feel like he's being unreasonable.
I would say top 5 players that are untradeable. No particular order in fantasy football this year. Ooh, this is a good one. I like this one. Okay.
See how many
I would say
backs?
Mahomes, Josh Allen, Travis Kelce, and Mark Andrews are untradeable players. Untradeable.
Wait, so he's trying to give up Mark Andrews.
To you?
Yes.
Who's your other tight end?
Right now I've got Irv Smith who's going on the IR. I've got Freiermuth, and that's about it right now. but I can't give up Alvin Kamara. Is ATN? I think ATN's going to go off the rest of the year. Is it? Definitely not Kamara.
So you've got Travis Etienne, whatever last name we want to put the Louisiana stick on it, like Chet Davis likes to. Kamara and Pierce, and they're all in your starting lineup?
No, because I also have Walker. I have Kenny Walker, and I have Nick Chubb.
Woo!
I'm running back rich. I'm willing to trade a running back for a tight end, but I don't want to give up those guys. I don't think.
I would.
Do I go ATN? Do I let it go?
If I had to pick between Pierce and I would, if he said the trade he gave you was Travis.
So he offered me Mark Andrews
for Travis Etienne.
Well, the original was Kamara. I fired back with Pierce instead. He fired back now with Etienne instead of Pierce.
If you can have a lineup of Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Ken Walker, and Mark Andrews, and Pierce is still on your roster as a backup, and Etienne's got to go. Wow, that is one hell of a team. I would say yes to that deal because here, and this is a great question.
I'm doing it, but if it sucks, I'm blaming you.
Well, here's the way to think of it, right? Like with those two running backs you have, if you've got just one flex, I'm assuming you have just one flex. Do you have two flexes or okay?
Yeah.
If there was two flexes, I probably would have hit pause there for a second. If it's a one flex league,
well, it's too late. I already accepted it. So.
All right. Well, for a lot of fantasy football managers too, who might be in a spot like you look at those running backs that are on your bench. Yeah, you can play matchup to matchup, but you now have a guy who's going to be in your lineup every single week. I talk about like the value, right? Let's say Mark Andrews gives you 10 a week in a PPR league, 14, 20, whatever the number is. Whoever's on your bench is always giving you 0. Think about what you just did there. You just gave up a player who had not scored an NFL touchdown until October. He's been in the league for 2 years. I know he got hurt, but for the sake of this conversation, for one of the highest scoring players in fantasy football at his position. So I think it's a fantastic trade, and you still get to keep your top 3 running backs.
I think Etienne's going to go off the rest of the year, though. I really do. But with the exception of this week with the bye week, I'll be able to trot out Pierce, Kamara. I've still got Walker from Seattle, but nobody wanted him when I got him. I stashed him on my bench deep, and then Nick Chubb. So
all right, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this question about the deadline of these 4 teams, and if you think I'm missing one, add one in.
Okay.
Ravens.
Yes.
Dolphins.
Heard of them.
Bills.
Familiar with their work.
Vikings.
Yeah.
Okay. Ravens, Dolphins, Bills, Vikings. Of those 4 teams, so I would say have been the all-in teams, we'll say. Do you feel more confident about any of those teams today than you felt about them 24 hours ago? In other words, did they win the deadline and put themselves in a better position to potentially make a Super Bowl run? Of those 4 teams, I'll give them to you again while you think. Yeah. Dolphins, Bills, Ravens, Vikings.
I want to say, I think it's the AFC East. Because the Bills were already the best team in football, and they got better. They didn't give up much to get Nyheim Hines. They don't have the logjam because they didn't move Zach Moss. To be that good and to get better is something that you want to see from everybody. Miami, I'm still, and this may be weird, I'm just not 100% sold on Tua. I'm still not 100% sold on Tua. So I think Chubb makes you way better, but I still worry about whether or not Tua can get it done for you. But the Bills are freaky nasty. The Vikings are everybody who went all in seems to have gotten like a lot better. And it's hard to leave out what the Eagles did. It's hard to leave out, Roquan Smith moving, all this stuff. Like there's with the Ravens. I mean, it's crazy. Bills biggest. The only reason I put the Ravens higher is you still do need some secondary help. Like, I mean, obviously you can't throw the ball from your back, but you got to get there almost every play if you're the Ravens because your secondary is kind of weak.
Oh, man. A lot of those things I thought about, too. I'm going to go with Miami, though. I'm going with Miami. That feels like in a better position now than they were 24 hours ago because of that Chubb move. And I know they dealt some picks. Chase Edmonds is involved, too. Here's the thing with Miami. Miami did beat Buffalo. And I know Bills fans will say there was a ton of injuries and it's not the same team. I'm sure a lot of that is true. That wasn't the same team. But we got to go back a little bit with Miami. Let's remember where the Dolphins were 2 years ago and then a year ago. 2 years ago, if my math holds correct here, they wanted Tom Brady. They wanted Tom Brady to be the quarterback and the owner of the team. Maybe that's 2021, whatever it is, right? They wanted that to be the situation. They were going to go so aggressive on that it almost happened. And then they got accused. Here, my timeline is off. 1 year ago, they wanted Brady. 2 years ago, they were accused of cheating and Tua and tanking and everything else, that the whole franchise was intentionally losing games, which the credibility of the NFL can be questioned forever if that really came out. And I think a lot of info did come out the NFL never wanted out there. So you went from tanking games intentionally to being so aggressive you were going to give a player and ownership group to, you know what? We can't let our fans think we're blowing games on purpose, whatever it takes. We will get whatever it takes. So if I'm a Dolphin fan, I'm like, this is hilarious. This is great. Like they're just going so insane. And they probably think they can still beat the Bills. I would say Miami's in the best spot post deadline because they are very Ram-like. Who cares about picks? We don't.
Yeah, but they have to get through the Bills still. I think that's the other reason. You know, you said they did beat them, but can they beat them again and then again? Because that's pretty much what you're looking at. You're gonna have to. You may have to get through them in the playoffs. So can you beat them to set up where you host them, which might help you? I don't know. I think Buffalo just, to add Himes, to add, just do enough. Just add a little bit. Don't overdo it. Get the pieces you need. Move forward. I think that's still the one. But TJ Hawkinson in purple now, it's just obscene. Like, it's just, if you're a Lions fan, you've got to, like, poor Monty, unofficial head of the Levack and Goz fan club, must be beside himself today.
The Lions stink to watch, Monty. Why do you do that to yourself every single week? The Lions are up 14-0.
The Detroit Lions, by the way. Let's just be very clear. The Detroit Lions.
I want to talk about that Lion game because poor Monty. Let's get into it. Let's do the NFL recap. Let's do the not so rapid recap. I want to start with the New York teams, Levack, because we've already touched on them all already.
All right.
I want to go out of order here with
Let's
Buffalo.
touch the New York teams.
Sorry. The Bills defeated the Packers 27-17 on Sunday Night Football.
Screw the Bills. How dare they?
The hook, 10.5. Come on, the late
at 11.
I don't want to call it a backdoor cover, but it kind of felt like that they were really dominating that entire game. Bills dominate Green Bay, but for some of us who had that as a lock, we miss on the lock.
The problem, I think, if there is a problem with the Bills, they do seem to kind of take their foot off the gas when the game's locked up. Team like Green Bay right now, with what's going on with, Aaron Rodgers kind of being hated by his teammates and everything, that works out for you. You do that against a Kansas City or, and if you're right, a Miami, that's going to cost you a W, and that's going to send you home early. So hopefully they learn a little something and go out there and just smash and annihilate whoever's in front of them and never take your foot off the gas in the NFL.
The Pat McAfee interview with Rodgers, they were cool last year. Now they're kind of like Rodgers is complaining more, and like it feels like McAfee is diving for some more headlines. It just they feel a little different when the team's not winning. And I'm sure McAfee feels it as the interviewer, like, oh, this was a lot more fun when he was winning and wasn't saying weird stuff.
I think there's part of it too, like as fans, a lot of times you envision yourself as like a quarterback, right? Like when you're a kid in the backyard, you're throwing for the win the Super Bowl, all that fun stuff. When you can visibly just see when it's clear the team hates their quarterback, it's hard to like that guy. Like everybody's supposed to like that guy. Like the Colin Cowherd's got the whole rap about he's the biggest, best looking guy, and that's why everybody wants to give him the football. And now you're like, you were the best. Everyone loved you. All you had to do was shut the hell up and not tell us you're doing ayahuasca and puking and shitting yourself, and you'd be loved forever. But no, you had to, host Jeopardy and be the stalest, most boring host I've ever freaking seen. So you just less is more, Rodgers. That's my thing for you. Less is more.
Speaking of Cowherd, we're getting on to the next New York team and everything, but Cowherd did have the take that infuriated Bills fans. I think he stole it from Nick Wright, trying to just troll Bills fans. His take was that the Bills have become too reliant on Josh Allen. You feeling the
on
Cowherd
their quarterback?
Take?
Yeah, well, you should not do that. I mean, that's because he only touches the ball every single play. It's it's a great take right there. I love Cowherd. Don't get me wrong, but
he was going for the clicks. He knew what he was doing. He just wanted to troll Bill fan. He didn't like Nick Wright getting all the clicks from him. Every game they've had over 100 yards rushing. If it's Allen, if it's somebody else in the backfield,
I think what he's like, a lot of people, like I said out loud earlier, I think it was today in the office. We got a lot of Bills fans in the Tech East Fire and Water Restoration office. And I just said, look, if he gets hurt, if his knee gets blown out in one of these runs, they're toast. And they're like, well, what team isn't? And I'm like, yes, you are right. But it is when you play with that reckless abandon, the way he does, the way Lamar Jackson does, Kyler Murray to a degree. Kyler Murray seems to slide a little bit more. That baseball background's in there. You feel like it's closer. And maybe Kaepernick's trying to say, like, I'm a Kaepernick, another Colin that annoys me. Maybe Cowherd's trying to say that, like, well, because Kaepernick was that too, actually. That's exactly how he played. And it worked really well, and especially against Green Bay. But then as he, got smaller, it didn't work as well. I think what he's trying to say is even though you run and even though you throw the ball, you're one-dimensional because it is all Josh Allen. Maybe that's what he's trying. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that's it. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly what his take was. But if they're winning games and it's working, he compared with a Big Ben and Cam that eventually he's going to get hurt. That's down the line. They're going to try to find pieces for him. 22-17, the final score. The New England Patriots defeat the New York Jets. A Jet fan. For me, I'm with you on this. It feels like it came down to two things. One play and one player. If the pick six stands and it's not an awful roughing the passer call, I mean, I've seen worse this season for sure. And if Zach Wilson maybe makes one or two more throws, you win that game. Heartbreaking for the Jets. They were right there, and they were about 2 plays away from winning this game.
Yeah, for Wilson to throw over 350 yards and lose is definitely not pretty. It's weird that they elevate Mike White. They make a big deal about elevating Mike White, now, and so it almost makes you feel like you can throw for 350 yards in the NFL and still potentially lose your job. It's kind of the vibe that's out there. If I'm a Jets fan, I don't think any of these things we're talking about matters. I think the only thing that matters is you lost to the freaking Patriots again. Like, it doesn't matter what we do, how much talent we get, how good our coaching becomes, all these things. It doesn't matter because that same bully takes your lunch money every single time you go out in the yard, and it happened again.
Oh, Jet fan. That roughing the passer, and I got to compare it to the Syracuse game because it's the same thing. It felt like it was a whole different game after that penalty, because when you're the underdog, when you're the team nobody believes in, and you're making plays, and a penalty that close cost you. New York's good. The Jets are good. They're going to stay competitive. Are they good enough to be the super team in the AFC after all the moves today? I keep doubting New York, but man, how different I could have felt about the whole thing if Zach Wilson had made one more throw, one less penalty. I hope you're not taking a picture of my face for audio side. Okay.
No, Trust is trying everything she can to not fall asleep so that she can. She's dialed in. She's dialed into the Levack and Goz show.
Look at that. Locked in.
She's got this evil look on her face, but she's like head bobbing, the eyes are closing slowly, but she's like, I might get that cat diary for podcast. So I got to make sure that I've watched every second of the show.
The cat viewership's going to go up. I'm going to chop it up.
Time.
Look at the metrics, the analytics. 27-13, the final. Seattle defeats the New York Giants. The Seahawks over Big Blue. Yo, Kenneth Walker III is a problem. He's really, really good. He might have just jumped Breece Hall over the next month for the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Wow, what a performance. And you remembered him in that comeback win last year against the Spartans over your Wolverines. That dude is special.
I don't remember that. I didn't see that. I wasn't there for that. Yeah, it's weird too, because as good as he was, there was also that every game, I'm almost positive every game the Giants have won this year, they've outscored their opponent in the fourth quarter, but like most of them are double digit scores, all those things. Like they've won in the fourth quarter for most of their games. There wasn't that score. They didn't score, and Seattle put them away. They scored twice, 14 points in the fourth quarter. And I think it's like what we say. We always say this about like really good quarterbacks, like Lamar Jackson. Like sooner or later, somebody in the NFL is going to figure you out. Joe Burrow, somebody's going to figure you out, and then can you adjust? Well, Brian Daboll, you did a really, really good job winning football games with Daniel Jones. Pete Carroll figured him out. He figured out what you were doing, and he made him as average and pedestrian as possible. He put the glasses back on Superman, and Clark Kent was in the huddle. So it was, I think it was a lot of things coming together. Seattle was the better team that day for sure.
And the frustrating part is like your coaching can be as great as you get hit, and it has been this season for the Giants. When you start making turnovers on special teams and muffing punts and that's nothing on. It's just like you gotta coach put you in a position. Your defense puts you in You just got to field the punt. You can't give Seattle those opportunities. And Geno Smith, man, post-game saying, I want to thank Ben McAdoo and Dave Gettleman for always believing in me. Oh my goodness. Just the ultimate troll. He had a fantastic throw to Tyler Lockett. It reminded me, as he used to call him, angry Doug Baldwin, where he just ran like this perfect route Lockett did. And Geno Smith, now I'm like, are we sure still that this is Geno Smith? Like, are we it's not the same quarterback it was 10 years ago. And those guys made the plays, man.
No, he's been put in a position where he's not asked to do too much, but when he goes for the big play, he makes the big play. So there it is. I mean, remember too, he was always a work in progress because he was the guy that I remember looking up that I believe in college, I think like 10% of the snaps he took from under center or less, 10% or less.
Yeah, less. Yep.
So it was like he didn't even know how to take a snap from under center when he got to the Jets. He gets to the Giants, and that was, we all know, that was handled as poorly as anything could possibly ever handled. He could have been this Geno Smith there, and it wouldn't have mattered. Giants fans would have hated him because of the way he was used to chase out Eli Manning.
I nailed this one, although my picks were horrendous when it came to actually picking winners. Thank God I have the spread. I told you the best game of the 1 o'clock window was going to be Falcons-Panthers and bet the over. Oh, yeah, it was. 37-34. And in the discussion is one of the best games of the NFL season so far. DJ Moore, a Hail Mary from PJ Walker caught. Keep your helmet on. Throws it. Extra point missed. Yeah. Carolina has chances. Atlanta has chances. The Atlanta Falcons are now in first place in the NFC South with Cordero Patterson. You can argue their best player sitting on IR. Hell of a game. I still feel like the NFC South stinks.
Yes, it does. This is terrible. Like you say, hell of a game. I thought it was a terrible game. I thought it was one of those ones where it was just like you see like from 50 feet back, it looks really, really cool. But as you get closer, you're like, wow, there's a lot of blemishes on this thing. This is kind of ugly. PJ Walker out here, balling. He's balling like he's the stuff, and tons of points. Fun to watch for that reason. Good for you for calling it for a ton of points. Atlanta, good for them not quitting, because they could have quit when Carolina really started coming at them again at the end, and they didn't. So good for them. But neither one of those teams. Let's say somehow Atlanta gets a playoff game. It is going to be a beating. It is going to be like calling the National Guard. What I don't care, but it's going to be bad.
And some people used to say this isn't a time to brag about getting a C-, even though you might have the highest grade in class.
Right.
49-29, the final score. Dallas over Chicago. Micah Parsons and that Dallas defense. I know the number says 29, but man, yeah. I'm ready. Levack, I think it's the best defense in the NFL, what Dallas is doing. And you called this from the preseason. This Dallas team is a true Super Bowl contender without Zeke Elliott, by the way, in the lineup. Tony Pollard showed up.
He went off. Pollard quite literally ran away with it. My nephew sent me over a stat. The Bills never miss a Super Bowl when they start the season 6-1. Okay? They've been in the Super Bowl 4 times, starting the season 6-1. They have lost to an NFC East team all 4 of those times. Somebody on this show has already made the bet at your DraftKings to have the Bills play the Cowboys in the Super Bowl this year. Could they go for 5? I bet for the Bills to win it, but could they go for 5? Could they do it again? Could they get to another one and lose a 3rd time to the Cowboys, a 5th time to the NFC East? Could they do it? I don't know. It's scary.
Now it's time to trail your bet. Pull out your phone. Just one more second wager on the future AFC and NFC. Trail that baby. Chase it all the way through.
I literally bet the matchup. Like I bet it all. Yeah. Like I've done it all. So
Dallas is really good.
Those mistakes again.
And
if I get the Super Bowl right 2 years in a row, look out. Look out.
They don't. Ooh, this hurts because he's on 2 of my fantasy teams. They don't need Zeke, do they? I feel like they don't need him anymore.
I feel like Zeke is the equivalent of that starting pitcher that you don't want to. He's Chris Sale. He's Chris Sale for the Boston Red Sox.
That's good.
Like he's still dominant. He's still got a ton of stuff, but you don't want to throw in over 150 innings in the regular season. You want him come playoff time. So I think if you've got a Zeke Elliott 100% healthy with a Tony Pollard when it comes time to take on the Rams, the Niners, and everybody else, even the Eagles at some point, I think it'll serve you very well to have a big angry dude in a crop top, eating.
31-27, the final score. The Dolphins come back and beat Detroit. It was high scoring early. This looked like Detroit's can't miss game. You and I were saying in the pregame, what's this lineup? 3.5, 4? This doesn't make sense. It flipped right to 4. I believe that's a push, by the way, for us. I got to go through that stat this week. Detroit, man. At Monty, the fan base, you guys, you're right there. But Tua, Mike McDaniel, and the rest of that Miami offense did it again later in a game, coming back, playing fantastic in the passing game, and winning another one.
This is a lock I got right because I said this is a game that's going to go flying over. And by the way, it went over without scoring a single point in the fourth quarter. Okay, it went over in 3 quarters. I just want to point that out. So, it's this Lions team. Like, I want the Lions to be good. I want Dan Campbell to be good. I like the staff. I mean, I've rooted for or against every member of that coaching staff on the football field at some point, and I want them to be good so bad. But it's just I'm starting to wonder if it's just you got a whole lot of Robins and no Batmans on that coaching staff. You got a lot of guys who should be, the assistant head coach, who are rah-rahing it up to keep the head, and then have the head coach be out there who's like a Bruce Arians type, super cool, smoking a stogie, getting some scotch, making the right calls. But it feels like it feels like every one of those coaches feels like even they feel like this team would be better if they were allowed to go out and play in their place.
You need a nerd. It's kind of what you need. Like, I know we just came off McDaniel. McDaniel's an Ivy League guy. Like, maybe you just need a nerd to do all the X's and O's and drawing up the plays. You got the rah-rah guys, like you said. Just get some type of dork in there to drop some plays for you. Then you can have everybody else do everything else. The Lions need a nerd.
An adult in the room. They need an adult in the room.
A nerdy adult.
Well, hey, listen. Pete Carroll could get it done. Pete Carroll's not a nerd.
I didn't. We'll do this one next instead. 34. Oh yeah, I was 34-26. The final. Minnesota over Arizona. This one's one of the weirder games of the week because even though Arizona lost by 8, these teams do feel very similar, very close. But the running back, the difference in this one, Dalvin Cook goes over 100 yards. Minnesota 5 in a row now, and as we mentioned earlier in the show, aggressive at the deadline. They feel like this is a team that can get to Arizona. Look at that, even though the game was in Minnesota. For the Super Bowl this February.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins went off over 100 yards. I think it was 140 something. But James Conner not there. You didn't have your running backs. If you were Arizona, you're right. Dalvin Cook, the difference. And, Kirk Cousins does enough throwing to Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Good game, fun game. The Minnesota wins it. And the one thing I will say about Minnesota right now is I don't think they've even come close to playing their best football yet. Like, I think they look like a top 8 team, 6 team in the league, and they haven't even played their best football yet. So if they get it together, if Minnesota, if these moves, if TJ Hawkinson is what, makes Captain Kirk Cousins that much more comfortable, this could be a frightening team, like Minnesota versus Philadelphia versus Dallas, like that kind of 3-way death match at the end. Don't forget San Fran's got things going on, but it is impressive to see. And sadly, Arizona did enough that I can't fully write them off right now.
I don't want to say they're better than the team that played in the NFC title game, but lost to Philadelphia in that Minnesota Miracle with Diggs against New Orleans. They feel, I'll stick by the same thing I've said about Minnesota since August. They feel more balanced. I don't know if that makes you better, but more balanced in that team.
I can see that. I can see it. And like I said, it's that team. Those games, you almost felt like they needed that little lucky play, something crazy to happen to get where they need to be. This is the team where, like I said, they haven't clicked yet. Wait till they click. Wait till you got a game where Dalvin Cook's running for over 100, Jefferson's receiving over 100, Thielen's got 85 yards, and oh, by the way, TJ Hawkins is in the end zone 2 times.
24-0, the final score. Your Las Vegas Raiders fall to the New Orleans Saints in this one. Alvin Kamara 3 touchdowns, but as good as Kamara was, I think the story is more about your favorite franchise and their performance in this one.
It's just, this is one of those ones where kind of I feel like the Raiders are the same to me as the Yankees right now. We're I don't want Boone or Cashman fired, but I don't want them getting the immediate vote of support. Like I want like for Mark Davis to come out and be like, no, old Joshy boy, that's my head coach. Like that's my guy. Like, you know what? Let him sweat. Let him sweat because 24-0 in a game, you should have won. You should have been in. Derek Carr looked pitiful. Waller was still out. Devontae Adams, one catch. Devontae Adams, he makes a catch. He gets taunted by like a rookie corner, and he doesn't go off. Like the defense played solid. Believe it or not, holding them to 24 points was pretty much a miracle considering how terrible the offense played. Defense looks really good. Offense looks freaking terrible. Josh McDaniels better get his shit together because right now I don't feel like he's a head coach in the NFL.
There it is. I was just going to ask you it. You finished it off before I could even do it. He's had now the second opportunity to do it. And it's not just like McDaniels isolated, right? Like maybe besides Mike Vrabel, I feel like he's the standout alone. And I don't think I'm missing anybody here. The Belichick assistants have struggled as coaches in the NFL, from Weiss to Romeo Crennel to my dear friend Matt Patricia, Joe Judge. Like maybe I'm missing one.
But Josh McDaniels? He struggled in Denver.
And Nick Saban doesn't count. Nick Saban's in college. No. That one doesn't count.
Well, and here's part of the issue with it as well is, look, there's a really reasonable chance that this just isn't his team yet. But you extended Carr, and I'm sure you had pressure from the front office and all those things. Once you extend a quarterback, he's your quarterback. Like that's it. You're as tied to him as if you signed him outright. You extended Carr. You could have very easily come into this thing and said, I don't know for a fact that's my guy. We'll give him some public love, to make him feel good. But this is your team. You got Devontae Adams. You wanted Adams. You got him. I know you expected to have Waller, but who cares? You don't. Jacobs has looked amazing.
Amazing. And a contract year, killing it for them right now.
Which, by the way, you didn't extend him. It's just, there's enough that I'm just, could this all be a very bad first year? Sure. Do you got to give him more than 1 year unless he does something really, really stupid? Yes. But do you need to come out and give him a vote of confidence right away? Let him swing for a couple days. Let him swing. Let him sweat. He deserves it. I was sweating for 3 hours. He can sweat for a little while. As I kick my table, I'm so mad.
Don't smash the game. NFL draft fans, enthusiasts, like apologists, whatever term we want to use here, they could potentially look at your Raiders and say, that was a huge mess left by Mayock. Like you and I have covered this before. Like a lot of the younger guys who in 2022 were supposed to be the impact players just aren't there. That seems like a really convenient excuse. It is a truth, but that might be giving not enough blame on what's going wrong with the Raiders. But there is a little bit of like, hey, all your impact guys, those drafts were historically bad for the guys who should be on the field right now.
Most of those guys, if I'm not, I got to think it through a little bit.
They also sucked too when they were on the field.
They did. And I feel like a lot of them are defense, and the defense isn't the freaking problem.
Yeah.
The offense is the freaking problem. And you lost Ruggs, but you got Devontae Adams. So that's like Bisaccia had the excuse of Henry Ruggs was my burner. He was my change guy. Like he was when Gruden was here and I took over, that losing that was too much for my offense to ever truly get around. Oh, by the way, I still got him to the playoffs. You've got arguably the best receiver in the game, and he had one catch on Sunday. One. No defense is good enough to make it one without the coaching staff you're playing for being crap. Let him sweat for a couple days.
35-13, the final score in the Battle of the Keystone State. Eagles take down the Steelers. The phenomenal one, A.J. Brown. Oh, by the way, remember I did that stat about like quarterback year 3 going to get a wide receiver? A.J. Brown was in that mix too with all those other guys that didn't mention involving Jalen Hurts. And Tennessee. We're going to get to you in a second, Tennessee. You should be looking at yourself thinking, why is our offense not as good all of a sudden?
Eagles are good, man. Like here's the question that you got to ask yourself. I don't even want to talk about this game because this game was never in doubt. I want to talk about, when do the Eagles lose? Is it at the Texans? I would say no. Is it home against the Commanders? I would say no. At the Colts? Home for the Pack? Home for the Titans? At the Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints, Giants? Where do they lose? which is the game. And by the way, they will be favored in every single game the rest of the season as long as nothing happens to Jalen Hurts.
You would think it's a divisional game, but
maybe a Cowboys game if the Cowboys keep going.
Levack, I'm so pissed. I'm so mad at myself for what I did involving the Eagles.
Did you fart again?
Okay. So, preseason. There's a couple of references to our preseason picks. Hey, they're looking good right now, so we get to talk about it. Preseason, I had the Ravens and the Eagles. I had the Eagles winning the NFC. Called it. Had it locked in. I went through my future wagers the other day. I have like 7 of them. So I'm like, where's my ticket? Where's my Eagles NFC ticket? Where is it? I know I bet the Eagles to win the NFC. Where's my ticket? I never placed the bet.
Oh.
I said, why would I root for the Eagles to win the NFC when I want the Bucks to win? I want to make sure I'm rooting for my Bucks. I don't want to bet on the Eagles or else I'm rooting against the. I didn't bet it.
Oh.
Now someone could say, guys, it's not too late. Now it's too late. The value's gone. Everything else. I'm gonna move on to Tennessee and let's talk about Tennessee and Houston. 17-10 the final score. This one went back and forth at the end. AFC South. Try to not overthink things sometimes when it comes to sports. Derrick Henry had dominated Houston every single outing, was at least the most recent ones, 200-yard plus games. Derrick Henry dominates Houston, 200-plus yard game. Simple and easy. It was Derrick Henry was the difference. Tennessee gets the W.
Yeah, I mean, also just Tennessee is without Tannehill. I felt like that was more of a true Tennessee. That was the way you wanted to see them, right? That was the way Vrabel wants to coach them. And I know Willis didn't have a good game. I get it, but it was his first starting game. He's a big physical dude. I don't have any reason to believe he won't get it together at some point and be a weapon. Maybe not as good as McNair in the air, but he might be able to be a little better on the ground and like even that whole thing out. But it was. If you're a Titans fan and you were smart enough to not like Ryan Tannehill, you should feel pretty good about what you saw there.
Yep. Tennessee rolls on. Is there more names confused than Tyler and Taylor? I know Zach and Josh gets confused a lot. If you don't believe that, Google Zach and Josh. But it is Taylor Heineke, unlike what the Fox Sports color commentator called him after throwing the game-winning touchdown where he called him Tyler. Taylor Heineke.
That's better than peanut butter.
Leads the Washington Commanders to the win over the Colts. That's all about Heineke. Terry McLaurin, by the way, from Indianapolis, gets it down to the 1-yard line before the game-winning touchdown. McLaurin gets up screaming, "This is my city." Awesome win for the Commanders. Heineke, what else? Look, the Colts fans, we've already covered you trash and Frank Ray. I'm not even going to talk about Indy. I don't even want to talk about it. I want to know, what does Heineke have to do to be a starter in the NFL? This guy every single time steps up. It's far better than Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is garbage. Heineke's not the long-term answer, but it's, you didn't have to give up anything to have him, and you could have won some games. I also think the Colts are terrible. Like, it sucks. I feel bad. I think that you just, there's talent there, but without 100% Taylor and without a quarterback of any real substance, you're screwed. And they just keep going to the junk heap. They go looking at the junk heap for a QB. They're a team that you would think maybe makes a move on something today. I don't know, but the Colts must be terrible because that was not a good Commanders team. That's not a good Commanders game. Heineke's okay. He's exciting, but he's not, if I tell you can take Tom Brady off your Buccaneers and you can put Heineke there, are you doing it?
Yes. I sent that to you. I texted that to you. I want Heineke.
Well,
I do
really
right now. Yes.
Do you really? Come on.
Man, he's like 20 years younger than him. I'll take him right now.
He's 20 years younger, and he's a million times less talented too. So
give you Heineke right now.
He may be like, if I'm looking for a foot race or a skill of a challenge of skills like physically, but if I'm looking for a quarterback to lead a winning drive to save my life, I'll still take old man Brady over Tyler friggin' Heineke.
Look at that! I set you up for that.
You did. You did.
By the way, Carson Wentz is owed, if he's on the Washington roster at the start of the next offseason, $26 million. You could wager somewhere maybe on DraftKings over under one more down for Carson Wentz as a player for the Commanders. This might be an RG3 situation where they keep him on IR.
I'd rather have RG3.
He can move. He's chasing Eagles. All right, I got two more games for you.
At least he's likable.
Niners and Rams 31-14. Wow. I really thought the Rams could do this. I thought the Rams could pull one off. They have gotten very bad very fast. Christian McCaffrey, hello. You were there. Yeah. Even without Deebo Samuel, you're out there throwing passing touchdowns and more. San Francisco, I know we mentioned Minnesota about a Super Bowl contender. San Francisco got good fast with that trade.
Well, and it's one of those ones, like, this is one of those times I feel very smart because I said another week for Shanahan to actually like work with McCaffrey, watch what he does. So the nickname was Run CMC. Now it's pass, catch, and run CMC. Like, he's the first player ever to do all three for a touchdown in a game, regular season game. It's super impressive. Niners are only going to get better. One of the best scheming head coaches there is. And listen, historically owns the Rams. So you got to believe that if somehow, some way, they end up against the Rams in a game that matters, whether it be a playoff game or a game that decides seeding, I got faith in the Niners. The Niners are freaking good. They are freaking good. And they've got the kind of weapons you can't prepare for. It's almost like playing Army in college, like where it's, you know, like, all right, you ready to play Army? Yeah, they don't have everything we have. Yeah, but they run the triple option. Everybody's like, what the F is the triple option? Exactly. Like, oh, well, their wide receiver might be the best running back in football. Well, that's weird. Yeah, you know what's weirder? Their running back might be the best wide receiver in football. That's crazy. Well, and that Kittle guy can really catch. Yeah, and he doesn't care. He doesn't want to catch. He wants to block. So, like, they're filthy. They're just a filthy team. You got to prepare for them on every single angle. They are going to be scary, scary, scary the rest of this year.
Our buddy Damon Bruce out in the Bay Area probably wonders how different the season could have been if Trey Lance was healthy. Would there be controversy? Would there be a Jimmy Garoppolo trade? Would Lance have been traded? There could have been a lot more drama in San Fran if Lance was still in the mix. That's not even talked about anymore because how good the Niners are playing.
The one thing you really, like, the reason I think of that Lance part, imagine the RPO in the backfield with Lance and McCaffrey. Oh, and by the way, Deebo Samuel.
Like, got to a Super Bowl with Kaepernick doing it, and this is a better level of it.
Right, and you didn't have Christian McCaffrey. You didn't have Deebo Samuel. Like, that's one of those ones where if you're the mic backer and you're trying to call out what the play is going to be, your head just explodes right in the middle of the field.
Just leave the field. I'm good. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I'm playing 13 men. I don't care. Penalize me all you want. 13 men. We're doing it.
Final Monday Night Football, 32-13, the final back-to-back Monday Night Footballs. Back-to-back Monday Night Footballs. The underdog with a blowout victory. This time, it's the actual dog pound. I like how social media is strangely calling Jacoby Brissett brisket. I don't know where that started, but I find that hilarious. He played well. Nick Chubb's awesome. Nick Chubb's in the conversation as one of the best running backs in the NFL. This feels like Jamar Chase is out. Be careful. Divisional dogs on the road. Put that in the fine jar for me because I've said it all year long. But Cleveland looked awesome. Best game the Browns have played all year.
And Myles Garrett just showed you again who Myles Garrett is. If like Myles Garrett, the only thing that can stop Myles Garrett is apathy. Like, if he doesn't care, it's not going to matter. But whenever he cares, he's coming for you. It's going to be a problem. I'm wondering if Jacoby Brissett, if he continues, because he's gotten better every week.
Brisket, please.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. If collegiate brisket. I'm wondering, like, if he can continue, because like he's made nice throws here and there. Some of the passes he made in this game are next level passes, like just next level. So if he continues to improve, he could be the next Scott Mitchell. He could be the next Jeff Hostetler. He could be the guy that somebody completely overpays for because Rub and Tug Watson comes back on the 11th week of the season and takes over this offense. And Brissett is going to be, I think he's going to be missed by a lot of these players. They like him. They like what he does out there. They like his energy. They like that, to our knowledge, no masseuses have been injured in the making of this compliment to Brissett. Like, he's got a fan base. There's gonna be teams looking at him going, we could win with him. And one of them might friggin' be Vegas for all I know.
Let's call it the brisket bunch. And when you first said Scott Mitchell, I thought it was an insult, but I get what you're saying now. It's very similar to the Heineke stuff. Quarterbacks playing really well who can go to a different franchise, win you some games. I don't want to call them modern day Ryan Fitzpatrick's, but that kind of fits in that same realm there too. Levack, I'm sad to announce that one of our favorites in the history of the Levack and Goz show may never appear again because of some news today. But before we get to that story, let's tell you about Lily and David Fine Jewelers. Guys, hopefully you took advantage of the 10th anniversary celebration that went on in October. If you haven't, that's okay. Black Friday deals are coming at Lily and David Fine Jewelers.
Why gotta be Black Friday?
The holiday season is just around the corner. Maybe some of you are already listening to Christmas music because November 1st is now on your calendar. Lily and David Fine Jewelers help you find what she's looking for this holiday season. Great prices and more. Find that perfect piece of jewelry that you're going to love for years to come, and more importantly, that you're going to get compliments on for years to come. Some of you have been waiting for the holiday season to pop the question and get that engagement ring. Lily and David Fine Jewelers can help you find it. Shout out to Alyssa, David, Jacob, Tammy, the whole crew over there that can help you find what she is looking for. I know from experience. I got to say what's up to those guys very soon and stop back in when I start my holiday shopping. Lily and David Fine Jewelers, Wilton, New York, Route 50. Shops of Wilton. Stop in. Again, Route 50, the Shops of Wilton. There's new spot. If last holiday season you're looking somewhere else, they've moved the selection of jewelry that you're looking for. They'll definitely have it. It's Lily and David Fine Jewelers, family owned and operated business. Where you stop in, tell them you heard about Goz's story. Tell them you heard about Levack. Tell me you heard about everybody from Godzilla Media, Santa Claus, and more. Lily and David Fine Jewelers.
I hate people who decide when I'm allowed to do Christmas stuff. Like I probably wouldn't even be in a rush to put everything up, except for the fact that people are pissed off about other people putting up Christmas stuff. Like I'll put it up in July if I freaking want to. You can kiss my ass. I do what I want.
Yeah. How do you like that?
There you go. Yeah.
Shams and Woj had interesting ways to report this New York story today. Woj had reported that the Brooklyn Nets have fired head coach Steve Nash. Shams had reported that the Brooklyn Nets and Steve Nash have mutually parted ways. A lot of people have accused Shams of being too tight with the Brooklyn players, and that's how he gets the scoops. You just take those two tweets for what they are, but we do know this, that Australian Steve Nash is no longer part of the Brooklyn Nets.
I thought he was Canadian. What is he? I thought he was Canadian.
Yes, he is Canadian. Somehow he turned Australia.
Sorry, mate. Sorry about it. Sorry about it. I gotta go. Sorry about it, though. It's I'm out and about. Gonna go. Go somewhere else. And done deal this. You can have them yourself. Sorry about it. Sorry.
Australian / Canadian / French Steve Nash. No, I feel bad for Steve Nash because that was a terrible job.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for that. Sorry, that's very nice of you,
Steve. You never should have taken that job. It sounded cool. It sounded like Steve Kerr, and then you realized you had to deal with Durant, Ben Simmons, and Kyrie, and said, "Get me the hell out as fast as I can."
It was fun while it lasted. Sorry didn't end better. It was a boot to turn around. I feel, but whatever.
No, it wasn't.
Sorry,
you're too nice of a guy.
Well, sorry. We'll put another maple syrup on the Barbie.
That's two different countries.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that too. Sorry. There was a boot. It was nice.
Bon voyage, Australian or Canadian or bonjour, whatever is bye-bye in French Canadian.
Sorry, you can't figure it out. Sorry.
Die.
Sorry.
Is it aloha? Now the rumor is that Emeka Udoka, who we still on November 1st do not know why he actually got suspended, might end up as the coach of the Nets because reports are saying the Celtics are like, yeah, you guys can just have him.
He must have done something bad then.
How do we not know? I don't get it. I know why we don't know, because this agent who reps Woj and Shams also reps him, and they don't want to report it. Somebody, Mark Stein, somebody. Anyways, but yeah, now the rumor he's the lead candidate. That should be interesting.
Well, how does Kyrie and what's his face there, Durant, feel about him? That's the question, right? I mean, do they like him?
Kyrie's into season 12 of his NBA career. This will now be his 9th different head coach.
He's a jackass.
I believe this is The Athletic. I want to make sure I get this outlet right because they deserve credit for this hilarious sentence. It's The Ringer. It's The Ringer who had this sentence today. Had the sentence, quote, "The Nets have been vetting the circumstances around Udoka's suspension and believe that he can tighten up the league's 29th ranked defensive team and command leadership in a difficult locker room." What an incredible sentence.
When asked to comment, Udoka said, there's nothing I like better than a nice pair. Good old pair. I think I'll just be able to get in there between that pair, put my face in there, and I'll get these guys focused. I think it'll be great. I'll support them. Just like a bra. I'll support them.
That's what we need in Brooklyn. I am so happy I'm watching this whole thing burn to the ground in Brooklyn. Oh, it's the best.
I hope Udoka does get hired in like the press conference. 2 things I want to announce here today. Very thrilled to be the new head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Let's go. It's going to be great. and I'm single. Okay. So if I date anyone, it's my business alone. All right. I don't have a wife. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a goldfish. All right. I don't believe in commitment. All right. So if any of you female reporters want to get it on, I'm your guy. Okay. It'll be fine. Just whatever. Keep your morals off my wee-wee. Okay. All right. Any questions? And if it's where my phone number is, you lady in the front, you can have it.
Hipsters, where are you at?
I just hope he goes all in. I just hope he's
the full heel. Like we've said that for Brooklyn. Just everybody be bad guys. Udoka, Durant, Kyrie.
Udoka. You know why I'm here, don't you? Boston's racist. Yeah, I said it. I had the guts to say it. If I was a white guy hooking up, they'd be fine with it. Take that, Boston, with your Marb Reds and your Sam Adams.
Hey, where's that
meeting? The meeting they decided to fire me was behind a Dunkin' Donuts. That's where the meeting was held.
Hey, where's that Nick Friedel? You got some questions about Kanye West for Kyrie? Ask me, huh?
Yeah.
Ask me some Kanye questions.
Let's go. Ask me a question. Go ahead, anyone. Ask me. You want 9 inches? Yeah, I said it. 9, right? It looks smaller because I'm tall. All right? I'll put it out there, though.
This is going to be a disaster, and I hope it happens. Come on, Udoka. Get right over there. Give him like a second-round pick in like 2027. Trade him an 8th grader for the head coach.
It's Boston. Send him a half-smoked pack of friggin' Marb Reds, a tall boy of Sam Adams, and a friggin' Dunkin' card with like $37 on it. They'll pony him right. They'll drive him to the border for you. It'll be fine.
I guess I'll ask this for Net fan who's probably thinking we're hating on him. Do they actually get better? Does the coach matter? Like I know Kyrie loves saying the coach doesn't matter. I feel like he is a better coach than Steve Nash. What that even means, I don't know for that roster, but he's been more proven. He got the Celtics to the finals last year.
I think the only people who can answer that question are Durant and Irving. You know what I mean? Like, because if they believe in him and they think he matters, then he matters. If they don't, then it's going to be more of the same 3-ring circus you've already got in Brooklyn. So it is what it is. The winner in this is Steve Nash. He gets to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, it is. I'm happy for him. We got a lot of college football questions coming in, so I'm going to save those for Q&A to end the day. I'm going to save those college football questions.
All right.
I see them coming in. I'm going to save those for Q&A to end the day. Instead, I'm going to send this graphic. The World Series got rained out. Do we have any? Do you feel like the World Series is dying right now because it's been off the air for so long? I forgot it was on. Like I did. That it was supposed to be on Halloween. I don't know if this is going to work, the whole break thing.
It's weird. It's weird it being this late. You know, of course, they added the wild card round and all that stuff. But, like, today's the anniversary of Mr. November when Jeter hit the home run at past midnight or whatever.
Yes, yep.
And that was because of September 11th, the 9/11. So it's weird to have it go this late in the year. And, like, knowing how cold and nasty it could be, you know, at Citi Field, at Yankee Stadium, at, you know, places like that. God forbid Canada ever get a team again. It does feel weird. It does seem crazy. But that being said, if your Orioles like somehow were in a series, you'd pay attention no matter what. I just think these two teams aren't really the teams we wanted to see.
Some critics would look at this now and say, oh, the NFL, the NBA. What do you want them to do? Like, you got out of their way for games and now big news happened. I feel for the MLB at this spot.
And if a guy like Bryce Harper goes off tonight, or Reese Hoskins or whatever, but again, too, the Astros are the villains. Every single post I see online is showing me how they're cheating, from bats to Gook on the baseball. Everything
with the wrist, right? Everybody. Right. I don't even like that. That's a storyline here of like the bat. Like, can't we just have a good World Series where people just enjoy it? That's not the social media world we live in.
Well, and the Astros brought this on themselves. You can't feel sorry for cheaters who are then accused of cheating. Like, it is what it is. The only thing that would make it better is if everybody was saying this about the Red Sox. That's the only, but they're not good enough to be noticed. So that's the only way this could be better.
You ready for Q&A to end the day? I feel like we gave enough there for the World Series. I'm sorry, guys, but like, there's so many great other storylines out here.
Let's go Phillies.
One reminder, by the way, we were at the Hideaway this Sunday, 11:30 to 1 o'clock. So we were back at the Hideaway this Sunday. Very cool.
I'm very busy. I can't do the show with you.
Please come.
No, I'm busy at the Hideaway drinking. I don't want to hang out with you. So, I mean, I'll be there.
Wait a second. No, I just got. Well, I'm changing the graphic now. We're going to start with this college football question. Now that Levack just put me in a pretzel. 1 versus 2. Tennessee, Georgia. In my mind, those are the two best teams. 3:30 kickoff window. Some people are complaining because it's 3:30. That's how the SEC goes, guys. Like that. Knock it off if you follow college football. I think this is awesome. I think that when we get 1 versus 2 in a regular season, it's great. It doesn't feel like Bama, LSU, Ohio State, Michigan. I know those are the traditional teams we see. This is the biggest college football game of the year. Real or Mirage? Can we do that again? Do you feel like that? Not counting conference title games. Is this bigger than Ohio State, Michigan this weekend?
No, you loser. How dare you? It's the greatest rivalry in sports. The good guys, the Wolverines, up against the Buckeyes, the bad guys. No, this Tennessee Volunteers. How dare you? How dare you? No, it's still Michigan, Ohio State. Hands down. And by the way, both Michigan and Ohio State will be in the playoff rankings when they come out tonight at 7:00. So,
I'm glad you brought that up because I feel
1 and 4.
They will. I would say it should be Tennessee 1, Georgia 2,
Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia, Michigan,
Clemson 5, Bama 6, and TCU probably somewhere. I mean, TCU might sneak over.
TCU,
Bama.
I could see TCU being 5 or 6 because TCU is the interesting one for me because like they've got like maybe one good game left, but they've got to get past these other guys. The good thing for them is there's a really good chance Michigan and Ohio State face off. Like they do face off, but then like they'll keep eating, each other. And then like you said, Tennessee and whatever they'll play each other. So it'll change.
It's a mess. Corey and Greenwich on our visual side here, you see it up there, our audio side. He asked that same question we were just talking about. As TCU goes undefeated, do they deserve a spot in the college football playoff? It is a bigger mess than we realize. I did this in the top 25 Godzilla Media poll up on GodzillaMedia.com that a lot's got to change because Georgia and Tennessee are in the same SEC East. So the loser of this game, this is how wild this gets here. The loser of this game potentially puts themselves in a better spot to get to the college football playoff because if the winner of this game beats, let's say for the sake of this conversation, Alabama in the SEC title game. So you have an undefeated team, a Bama team that's lost twice, and you don't have to take the field the second time in the SEC title game. That's how weird it is. That if the loser of this game finishes the season undefeated, they actually might improve. Loser of this game finishes undefeated, they have a chance to get in. So that Ohio State and Michigan play each other. So one of those teams might knock each other out. TCU could be left outside because I don't believe that's hard for me to believe that if you have one loss and it's to the number 1 team in the country and another team's undefeated, that they're going to take TCU. Oh, I don't know. TCU needs an upset. TCU needs a Clemson go down. They need Ohio State or Michigan to go down. I don't know if TCU is going to get that spot. I don't.
Yeah, as long as Michigan's there, I really don't care. It's fine. Go blue. Go blue. It's the only thing I have left, people. Okay.
You had a Jason Goff themed question. This one's hysterical. I love this one. Hey, Ghazi, if you had to pick a coach for Auburn, who would it be? Lane Kiffin, Deion Sanders? Can we just talk about our pal Jason Goff? We have not talked to him far too long. At least I haven't. I made a joke last week, and then I said, Auburn's going to fire their coach so fast, I'm not even going to know his name. That just happened. Like, right. I'm not even totally familiar with his name because he was almost booted after 1 year, and now he's gone.
And he will be replaced by Matt Rule.
Ooh, there it is. Great call, Levack. I wanted to say Cadillac Williams for my Buccaneers, but there's Matt Rule saying, there's that big old college job I was waiting for. Right. Forget about Lane Kiffin. Give me Matt Rule.
Carolina, good news for you guys. You don't have to keep paying me because they're going to overpay me down here. It's going to be great.
And by the way, if they do decide to pay Lane Kiffin, Matt Rule can go to Ole Miss. I'll probably be fine there too.
I do love the idea of Lane Kiffin being more out front. Did you see him talking smack to the wide receiver who flopped?
No.
If you gotta look it up, like the guy flopped on the ground, act like he got pushed and everything, and he's like, "You're acting nerd, whatever." But and then like they called no penalty, and he's like walking away. He called him a pussy. I think it was full Lane Kiffin. It was like, why don't you lay there a little longer, pretend you're hurt, pussy, and like walk away. Like Lane Kiffin's crazy. I think at some point Tosh.0 actually became Lane Kiffin. Like, I don't think Lane Kiffin actually exists anymore. I think it's Tosh. It's Daniel Tosh.
There's always great stuff to watch on Thanksgiving, one of the great football holidays of the year. Give me the Egg Bowl with Mike Leach versus Lane Kiffin. Mississippi State. People peeing on footballs and more. The Egg Bowl, baby.
I think Matt Rule would talk shit to Leach too, though. But not like Kiffin would. Kiffin would seek him out. Kiffin would throw eggs at him. He would egg his house the night before.
Shout out to Ryan McCarthy, who did add this in. Robert Saleh at the end of the game, this is important to remember, that he post-game said that the umpire on the field said the John Franklin Myers hit Mac Jones too hard. I think that's a real quote, too. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Listen. He didn't ask permission to hit him. He didn't take his feelings into account. He didn't draw him a get well picture before he got back to his feet. There's rules. There's rules to this. Didn't crest his head on the way to the ground. There's rules. You got to be careful here,
So lame. Thanks really a lot to ruining everything. Also, on the other college football front, one of Syracuse's best players, Garrett Williams, tore his ACL, and now the Orange.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, the Orange are now underdogs to Pittsburgh. I love this stat. I want to make sure I pull this up because I feel I'm going full Tony Kornheiser right now, pulling out the phone. I want to make sure I get the number right. Mike C gave me this stat about Pittsburgh Syracuse that is just phenomenal. The Pittsburgh Panthers in the last 20 years are 17-3 against Syracuse. That sounds pretty good. But before that 17-year stretch, for the 18 years before that, Syracuse was 16-1-1 against Pitt. And before that, Pittsburgh was 10-0. What the? It's unbelievable. For a almost 50-year streak, you went 11-0, 16-1-1, 17-3. It doesn't feel good for my Cuse.
So it's up to you. Is it over? Is it Cuse time now? Is what you got to know.
This is a bad matchup. And by the way, the Pitt running back was supposed to be Sean Tucker, so they wanted him more. So that
worked out for you.
Yeah, but the Pitt kid's good. Yeah, but Pitt's good too. He's good too.
Which one's your Heisman favorite?
I'll just I'm not. No, you almost got me another one. I'm not gonna say it. Elon takes on UAlbany this weekend, so the Phoenix will be taking on the great. Not Elon Musk.
He's just out there throwing money at people. It's great.
Also, I believe Union has a chance to win the Liberty League. They got 2 more games coming up. They got Ithaca this week. They got RPI. Matt Cataro, by the way, Bethlehem's own. He is now the manager of the Kansas City Royals. So shout out to Bethlehem's own, Capital Region's own. Now the new manager of the Kansas City Royals.
Speaking of Mr. Musk, let's go Dogecoin, huh? Let's go Doge.
Doge is shooting up. I don't have any Doge.
Doge is so. I put $100 into Doge whenever Mike Corda from Techie's Fire and Water Restoration told me to. And then he didn't put any money in. I was like, wait a minute, you just made me throw away $100, you jerk. And it was like 70 for a while, but it's like 170 right now. So let's go. Keep going, Doge.
Cash out?
No. I'm waiting for Elon Musk to come back out and say, it's really, really good. Everyone should have it. And they'll be like, what's up? Let's go. I'm going to let it keep going. I don't know if I'm ever going to pull out of it. I mean, right now I have, like I said, I put $100 in. When I did it, it was so low. How low was it? How much do I have? I have 1,184.49 shares of Doge.
Ooh.
So if that ever becomes Bitcoin, woo-hoo. How sexy am I now, ladies? You may want to jump on this Doge train now. Woo-hoo.
Elon's out there taking out Twitter, but hey, if the economy collapses here next year, get your Dogecoin now. Elon will save us all.
If the economy collapses, it's just, that's when the only real currency that matters is canned goods and shotgun shells. And I have both of those as well. So let's roll.
I feel like that should
Nation, let's roll.
I feel like that should be the advice.
All right. I'll give you advice. The world is coming to an end. Stock up on shotgun shells and canned goods.